So this video is in response to some questions that I received recently about the usage of plant stimulants. And the question is whether or not these things are good or bad for us to consume. And the simple answer is, well, it depends. Why and how is exactly what we're going to understand in the rest of this video. So what we mean by plant stimulants, we're referring to a family of plants that contain chemicals like methylxanthines, things like caffeine, theobromine, or theophylline. And specifically, there's more than 60 some odd plants that contain these kinds of chemicals that have a certain effect on the body. The most popular obviously being coffee, tea, yerba mate, guarana, Kola nuts, and those are really probably the most widely used right now. Also, obviously chocolate, we can't forget that. And these chemicals, these drugs, are the most abused, the most used drugs on the planet, period, end of story. And what these things do is have a stimulatory or exciting effect on the central nervous system or the circulatory system, or both. And what all of these things share in common is that they do these things, yes, and they most often have a diuretic and or mild laxative effect. Now, many of these individual plants on their own have specific benefits for the body, whether that's antioxidants or various minerals or nutrients or other beneficial compounds for the body, which it's funny because the popular conversation always kind of goes back and forth. Kind of like red wine. Oh, it's good for you. Oh, it's bad for you. Oh, it's good for you. Coffee, it's good for you. It's bad for you. Or even with, say, eggs, which is relatively natural food for people, say, oh, well, it's bad for you. Oh, wait, it's good for you. Oh, wait, it's good for you. Only the yellow. Oh, wait, only the white. Oh, wait, only cooked. Oh, wait, only raw. And there's all these weird ideas, and it's sort of all over the map. So some sort of similar thing applies to stimulants. And really, when we talk about these sorts of drugs, these sorts of plant drugs, coffee, tea, yerba mate, guarana, Kola nut, chocolate, most of these are regarded by scholars and authorities as really the fuel of the capitalist, industrialist economy and worldview. Because these are plants, these are substances which really bring us to a heightened sense of awareness and sort of help one adapt to minutia in more or less mundane, repetitive tasks. Which if we look at history, we look at many of the usages of these plants, we can see that this holds a lot of water and bears out being true. On the flip side, it's also why drugs like marijuana or various hallucinogens or psychedelics are often sort of shrouded or put down by capitalist, industrialist economies, because one side of these plant drugs makes us want to get up and get things done. And the other side tends to make people a little more planted, a little more catatonic, and sometimes just a little less motivated to do things. That's not always the case, but these are sort of the general tendencies that are noticed. So getting to plant stimulants and whether or not they're good or bad, the answer is it depends. It depends upon the natural state of the person, meaning the state of their adrenal system and their nervous system. Some people can drink these things all the time for their whole lives and never really notice anything from it. It's just totally fine. That's obviously true for coffee and green tea, and actually all of these plants have been used by humans for a really long time. It's really only now in modern times that we even at all question the usage of them. And that is likely because people are just tweaked out. People are imbalanced, and they're noticing all of these weird side effects. So really the obvious answer is if someone drinks it and uses any of these plant substances, really need to understand where they're starting from and listen to their body and see what's really going on. And then also look at the usage of these plants. They are powerful, they do have benefits, and they can also have side effects. And we need to understand this and treat these things with respect, and not just consume them blindly or because it's what we do or because it's what everyone else does. No, we need to actually take a step back and understand what this plant really is, what it's really all about, and what and how that interrelates and works with our personality in the body. Because these plants have a personality, and just the same way we have a personality. And sometimes we don't always get along. So it's good to look at these things and just use a bit of common sense. So ultimately the answer is yes and no and neither, because for some people it can be very beneficial. Pretty much all of these plants do contain beneficial compounds, yet for other people at other times it can be misused, it can be abused, it can lead to side effects, adrenal exhaustion, anxiety, heart palpitations, dehydration, constipation, a whole list of things which just really a sign of imbalance. And I think the mindset of sort of like, oh, I need energy, I need to stimulate, I need to get things done, I think it might be beneficial to really look at that mindset and look at that paradigm and see why we're so trapped in it, and ask maybe why the energy isn't there in the first place. Why do we feel the need for the stimulation? Why do we feel the need for that extreme? Now, things like yoga or Tai Chi or meditation and diet and exercise and the whole lot, adaptogenic herbs, tonic herbs, those are all better long-term strategies for energy, which if we really do have a legitimate deficit, then we should probably look at those things and try to be a little bit more long-term in our focus. Now again, I'm not saying that these plants are inherently good or bad, because again, it just depends. It just depends on all the factors that we've just talked about. But really the fact is, humans have been using these plants for a very long time, and it's only for some reason up until recent time that we're even questioning or debating the good and the bad. Because really, probably ancient cultures just understood these contextual things and didn't really look at it in good or bad. They just understood plant usage, appropriate, inappropriate, and they moved on and didn't really concern themselves with the rest of the details. So hopefully that's been helpful and sort of demystifies or simplifies the whole conversation. And yeah, so thanks for watching this video, and I'll talk to you soon.